Welcome back. Today we're going to do something super useful and extremely easy. It's so easy, in fact, that we won't even be writing any code. We will be building two completely different but extremely popular global navs. A global nav, or a main nav, provides users with the primary means of navigating between distinct sections in your app. The most popular one today is the tab-based nav. You'll see this everywhere from Instagram and Twitter to Pandora. We'll create a new project again. We've done this before. Give it any name you like. I'm going with Honeycomb for no particular reason. Jump right into the storyboard. Delete the main view controller because we don't need it. Grab a navigation controller and drag it into the project. Mark it as the initial view controller so it appears when the app does. That's our entry point into the entire app. Now, instead of configuring these cells in code like we did in the Elements app, this time we're going to create a static table view controller. Select the table view itself in the document outline and then change content to static cells in the inspector. That will automatically give us 3 cells. We're going to have a menu with 4 items, but let me give you a tip. We can save time configuring multiple cells with the same layout if we reduce this to 1 now. Configure the cell and then set it to 4 cells later. It will clone the first one, saving us time. Increase the row height to 120. Then, using the component filter, filter for image so we can get an image view. Drag that into the cell. Rearrange it a bit. And we'll add a constraint to make sure it maintains its aspect ratio. And then we'll make it hug the top, left, and bottom borders of the cell. Let's tweak the aspect ratio to 1:1, and you'll notice it's now a perfect square. That should work. Next, let's add a label. Add a constraint to make it stay close to the image by right-clicking on the label and dragging to the image view. Let go and select horizontal spacing. Add another constraint to vertically center it. We'll tweak the font style to light and bump the size to 26. And we'll set the text to home. Now that we're happy with the cell styling, select the table view section in the document outline and then set the number of rows in the inspector. You'll see how it cloned the first cell rather than giving us a default cell. That's a huge time saver. We'll set the title of the view to Honeycomb, which sounds a lot better than root view controller if you ask me. Now we need some icons. Let's look at the assets file, which is responsible for storing images and other external files required in the source code. We don't have any icons yet, so let's go shopping. Don't worry, this won't cost you anything. Over to your browser, where I always just search for Google Material icons and go to the first link. Here on this page you can search for icons like Home. That looks good, let's get that. Set the style to iPhone and then click on the PNG button. We'll do the same for Explore, Messages, and Person to get icons that should work great. Find them in the Finder and drag them into the Assets folder. Notice I'm dragging the .image_set folders inside the .xc assets folders in the zip files from Google. Now let's go back to the storyboard, select the first image and set its image name in the inspector. That looks a bit ridiculous at this size. It's being stretched because of the content mode, so let's change that to aspect fit or nope, center. That looks better. Do the same for Explore, Messages, and Profile, setting their labels as we go. Now we're ready to run it and see how it looks. Beautiful. What happens if we tap on them? A whole lot of nothing. That's not too surprising because we haven't added any drill downs yet, so let's do that. Filter the components for view, grab a view controller, and drag it into the storyboard. Drop it next to our table view, and then repeat 3 times.
1, 2, 3.
So we have a total of 4. Now to wire them up, right-click on the home cell, and you'll see in the pop-up menu a section called Triggered Segues. Segues are like transitions. In this case, we want to add a transition for selection, so click-drag that circle to our first view controller. When you let go, you'll get another mini menu with options for the transition. We want to select Show. Combined with the navigation controller we added in the beginning, this will make the view slide in from the right. Okay, let's repeat that 3 times for Explore, Messages, and Profile. Next, we'll zoom in on the Home View Controller, select the View Controller itself, and give it a title over here. And now repeat that 3 times, and we're ready to run it again. It looks the same, but does it drill down? Yes, it does. Let's look at one last thing. You might have noticed that the icons are blue, but the images we downloaded were black. Select one of the images and take a look at the inspector. There's a value for tint which we can change, which we will do. And then repeat that 3 times. And voila, it's just that easy. Now it's time to look at another primary nav, one that's a lot more common today. In all honesty, the menu we just finished, the table view menu, is more popular these days as a secondary nav. They're great for settings or profile sections. Tabs are great for primary navs because they take up little screen real estate and they're quick to access. So let's drop a tab bar view controller into the storyboard. Delete the view controllers it comes with because we already have 4. Right-click anywhere on the tab bar controller and grab the circle from View Controllers and drag it to the Home View controller. And then repeat for Explore, Messages, and Profile. Now we want to configure these buttons and icons and titles. You do that from the View Controller itself. Select the button at the bottom and then you can set the title here and the image here as well. This time we'll use the 36-point button from Google Icons. We'll repeat this for Explore, Messages, and Profile again. Zoom out and let's grab the arrow that marks which view controller is the initial one and drag it to the tab bar controller. Let's run it and see what we have so far. The only issue we have here is that we don't yet have titles for these views. To fix that, we actually need to give each tab its own navigation controller. So let's delete these connections to the tab bar, and we'll also delete the connections from our table view and move it out of the way. And now let's add a new navigation controller. Delete the table view controller that it comes with because we don't need it. Move it up here next to Home. Right-click and drag Root View Controller to Home, and then repeat that 3 times. Now let's move the tab bar controller to the left and add the view controllers again. Right-click and drag the connection to the view controllers. We have to re-add our tab icons and names, which is a bit tedious, but no big deal. And now we can add the titles to each view because the navigation controller provides a title view. Simply click on the title view and enter a name in the inspector. And then, of course, repeat it 3 times. Let's run it and see what we have. Awesome, we have tabs. We have individual view controllers for each section, and they're all titled appropriately. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.